All right, let's talk about the 3 mistakes that can turn your dream home into a financial nightmare. And no, it's not about forgetting to check the roof or missing anything else, actually. I'm talking about the sneaky mistakes smart people make every day. The kind of mistakes that will cost you your sleep, your sanity, and sometimes, unfortunately, 6 figures. Because here's the truth, the biggest danger in real estate isn't about buying the wrong house, it's actually buying the right house the wrong way. So, whether you're a first time home buyer, a relocating executive, or someone who just wants to stop renting and finally feel settled, this video is going to save you from the 3 most expensive mistakes buyers make. And I'll show you exactly how to avoid them like a pro. Mistakes number 1, falling in love before you do your homework. So let me repeat that. Mistake number 1, falling in love before you do your homework. We've all done it. You walk in, the light hits just right, the kitchen smells like fresh cookies, and suddenly you're like, this is it, this is my house. Trust me, I've been there with my buyers. But here's the truth. When you lead with emotion and skip the homework, you're basically going on a blind date and proposing at dessert. Proposing at dessert. I can tell you how many buyers message me saying, Daniella, we found the perfect house online. It looks amazing. And I'm like, well, let's slow down. Did you check the neighborhood? Did you check the noise level? Did you check if there's like a dog yapping next door? The resale potential, have you checked that? And I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, they didn't. So for example, I was at my son's hair appointment last week, and while we was getting his haircut, I started talking to the woman sitting next to me, and she said, I've met 3 realtors in the past month, and honestly, none of them made me feel ready to buy. Like she couldn't trust none of them. 3. So she was, going through the homes on her phone while we were waiting, showing me pictures like she was a kid in a candy store. And she'd already toured several. There's one she really liked, the other one she didn't like because the rooms were too small. But she told me, I just didn't click with any of these agents she met. And it's like she felt they were all rushing her into writing an offer. So I asked her, did any of them help you analyze the neighborhood? So she looked at me like she was confused, and she said, no, I just look at what I like online and didn't think about it. So that's mistake number 1, falling in love too fast. She was chasing, the look, the outside, she was checking the rooms, not the value. And no one had told her that the same dream home could lose 6 figures in resale value depending on the streets it's on. So I pulled up her favorite listing on my phone, and I'm telling you, within 2 minutes, I showed her it had tripled its days on the market compared to others nearby, right? So this one has way more, was on the market way longer. The noise complaints from a bar down the street, there were like a bar not too far, and the average resale time in that zip code was twice as long as the next neighborhood over. So she was like, oh my God, no one's ever shown me that. And before I even offered, she said, well, can I have your business card? And that's exactly how I work. So you actually, it's almost like I actually made her feel safe buying because it's no pressure. So please, don't buy the fantasy. Drive the street, study the data, because when emotion leads, logic pays the price. And you're not just buying a house, you're buying the street, the neighbors, the dogs, the lights, the bar next door, the energy, the commute, the resale value. So here's my rule. Before you fall in love, fact check the fantasy. Drive by at night. Google the street view to see the area, what's around. Check the average days on market for that neighborhood. And because a dream home in a bad location actually becomes a nightmare with quartz countertops, with the perfect cabinets, but it's a nightmare at the end of the day, right? So let's move to mistake number 2, ignoring the true cost of ownership. So mistake number 2 is like thinking the mortgage is the only cost. When, let me tell you, that's like thinking the dress is the only thing you spend on for the wedding. Does that make sense? There's so much that come into play. Because here's what most people forget. When you own a home, you're not just buying it once, you're buying it every single month. Does that make sense? Property taxes, insurance, maintenance, HOA fees. If you have a pool, you need that pool maintenance, you need that pool clean, landscaping, and sometimes you do have surprise repairs. It's all adds up. So I've seen people stretch themselves so thin just to get in the door, and then they realize the door costs another $2,000 a month to keep open. So that's not enough. And then realtors don't tell you that enough. That's what I'm trying to say. Because just because you can't afford a house on paper doesn't mean it fits your lifestyle in reality. So you have to ask yourself this question. Can I maintain this home comfortably without losing my joy or my peace of mind? Or what happens if I lose my job? Because a house should elevate your life, not restrict it. And if you're constantly worried about your next payment, that's not freedom, that's a beautiful prison. And trust me, it happened to me before I was into real estate. I realized that I was living my own nightmare. So don't chase the maximum you are approved for. Chase what gives you breathing room, margin, and peace. So, for example, I have my clients, a couple from LA. They were looking to buy here into Palm Springs, and they were moving inland for more space. So they fell in love with a stunning remodeled pool, palm trees, outdoor kitchen, everything you can dream of. And they said, it's a stretch, but we can make it work. So when I asked if they're factored in the property taxes, the insurance, the HOA, and the utilities, they told me, our lenders said we are approved up to this amount, so we can do it. So that's mistake number 2, thinking the mortgage is the only cost. So what I did, I made them sit down and we broke it all down together. So the property taxes were around $3,000 more per year than expected. The HOA, another $450 a month. And then the beautiful pool they loved added around $280 per month between maintenance and water bills. So their faces dropped. They were not buying a $900,000 home. They were actually buying a $1.1 million lifestyle. So I'm telling you, they thanked me for stopping them into that buying. And what we did is we found another home nearby, same square footage, but this one had no HOA. It had energy efficient upgrades, and they closed under budget. And I can tell you, I still get messages from them and referrals every summer saying, we're still grateful we didn't buy that pool. So sometimes you want the pool, but sometimes it's better not to have it. So remember, you're not buying the house once, you're buying it every single month. So make sure it gives you peace and not pressure. Okay, so now let's move to mistake number 3, buying without a strategy. So now I know that sounds boring, but here's the difference between an emotional buyer and a smart buyer. The emotional buyer says, I love it, let's do it. The strategic buyer says more like, how does this decision build wealth, 5 years from now. Okay? Before you even start looking, you need to know your exit strategy. That's what I recommend to all my buyers. Are you staying long term? Are you going to rent it later? Are you planning to sell in 3 years, which I don't recommend, but that's okay. Each of those paths completely changes what you should buy. And don't even get me started on timing here, because I've helped clients buy below list price simply because we use data to identify the right moment to strike, not emotions. And because the market doesn't reward feelings, it rewards strategy and planning. So if you want to play the long game, think like an investor. Even if you're buying your dream home, just think like an investor. Like, what's the resale value? So look for areas with upcoming development. Look for homes that need minor updates and not full renovations unless you want to be a flipper. Look for locations where lifestyle and value align. And that's where real wealth is built. So one of my clients wanted his forever home. So the idea was to get a big yard on a quiet street with a lot of space for a home office. But when we started digging, I realized he changes job every 2 to 3 years, sometimes across states. So I was like, that's for me a red flag. So I asked, like, if you had to move again in 2 years, could you keep this property? That was my main question. So he was really surprised because nobody had ever asked him that. So he told me, I've never thought of that. And that's the difference between buying emotionally and buying strategically. So you want to be closer to family, okay, but if your jobs require you to relocate, so you need to build a plan, a home that could rent easily if you have to relocate. A house that has low maintenance, great school district, high resale appeal, and he bought it, and 2 years later he got transferred. So he didn't sell the house, he rented it for $3,200 per month, and that covered the mortgage and created a little bit of cash flow for him. So he sent me a photo of his new place in Texas, and he said that was the best decision because now he has a house in California that's building equity that he can rent and get cash flow. So my advice is every purchase should have an exit plan. Life changes, okay? It happens. Real estate should move with you, not against you. So here's the truth. Buying a home isn't just a financial decision. It's an emotional one, but when you mix heart and strategy, you win every time. So you need to have a plan. So remember, 3 mistakes. Don't fall in love too fast. Number 1. Number 2, don't underestimate the cost of ownership, your HOA, your taxes, your pool. And 3, don't buy without a strategy. So these 3 shifts alone can save you tens of thousands and years of stress. So if you're watching this and thinking, okay, Daniella, I want to do this the smart way, I've got you. Just look down below, or you'll find down below my smart buyer guide. It's like a checklist, and a link to book your personal consultation. It's a Calendly invite. So whether you're relocating, downsizing, or finally buying your first home, let's make it a move that feels smart, calm, and intentional. Okay? Because buying a home, like I said, should feel like a chapter of freedom, not fear. I'm Daniella Parker, and if this helped you, hit subscribe, comment your favorite takeaway, and share this with someone who's about to buy or someone who can use this video to plan and be more strategic. See you in the next video.